everyone. It is Shani here at the Nashville Dove Awards still, and I'm with the beautiful, talented Angie Rose. And I was telling her how I was talking to Nike a little bit earlier on the red carpet and just kind of the state of Christian hip-hop music for women in general, and just how they kind of have a different role to play. And I'm interested to just kind of see how you're feeling about women in Christian hip-hop specifically, because we know what women outside of Christian hip-hop are doing in the hip-hop industry, and just kind of what you want to see more for yourself and just for women specifically in this genre.
Yeah, well, I think like you said, we see what women in hip-hop do naturally, and it can be really easy as a female to try to mimic what you see in culture, and the journey that God has me on now, and I think it's an important and special journey, is to just be who God says you are, because there's a bunch of women that are looking at me that can resonate with my true story versus the story that I would try to build, right? In this industry, you can tend to try to do things to follow trends or to be relevant to what's going on in the space. And I think what God is looking for me specifically, I can't speak to about anybody else, but is like the simplicity of the relationship that we're sharing, and sharing that with the people as honestly as I can. And so with that, I'm diving into like different sounds that I was too afraid to dive into. I'm doing a little bit more Christian R&B, and I'm rapping because I love hip hop. I can't let it go. But it's just coming from a more honest and vulnerable space than it is trying to dress up and be something that is palatable to the masses. I think just honesty is where I'm at now.
And I think one of the things that is important too is because a lot of times people expect Christian women in general, you know, if you're going to be in the space that you can't have any style, you can't look a certain way, you can't dress certain ways. Now, we both have very beautiful, appropriate, form-fitting dresses on tonight, but speak a little bit to that in terms of kind of some of the pressures and how you have to navigate, because at the end of the day, you're still a woman, and God still made you beautiful, and He still made you to be able to shine for Him. So it doesn't mean you have to cover everything and completely let go of some of the beauty He's given you, but also giving a balance of that modesty as well.
Yeah, well, I think it's exactly that, navigating that balance and just being honest. I think it's so much of what we deal with and the pressures that we deal with being artists can be avoided. And this is me learning. Like, I don't know, but I think that a lot of the pressures that I deal with can be avoided by learning to be honest with what God is doing in my life personally. Like, there was a season that I was wearing more crop tops, and now it's a season of like, oh, I don't know if that's the best idea, mainly because I got a call from a friend one day, and he's like, my daughter wants to wear this because of you. I'm like, oh my God. And so I was like, okay, like, there's something to be learned by just moving in your purpose. And sometimes it's about being less selfish. And it's like, man, yeah, I may like this, I may enjoy this, but is it beneficial? Like the word says, all things are permissible, not all things are beneficial. So I'm like, okay, God, what is beneficial to the purpose, and how can I make sure that the message comes across without limiting my identity? And so I think it's just a learning process, and we're going to make mistakes. And, you know, it's like, can we repent and get back up? And are we in a society that will allow that? And I guess that's what I'm like hoping is true. Like, we're in a society that allows you to grow in front of them and be honest.
And I love that you mentioned that, because I think, one, nobody's perfect, so you're going to have those moments. It also shows evolution, you know, for you to share that this is what you used to do, but you realize that with someone else watching you, especially someone younger coming up for you, that maybe you have to switch it up. And maybe it's not something that caused anybody else an issue, or maybe it wasn't even an issue that was going to be something big, but just to know that and be able to adjust. And I think that is one of the biggest differences between women in hip-hop. Not all of them, because there are some women in hip-hop that I do still really love and respect. There's the MC Lights of the world and the Rhapsodies of the world and all of that. But I think that maybe makes the difference in terms of actually thinking and caring about how is this beneficial, where I think other women, and not to knock any of them, because I mean there's a lot of beautiful women in hip-hop regardless, but I think they're dealing more with marketing and the pressures of what the industry wants from them, and not always thinking, because to do that you may leave money on the table, you may leave opportunities on the table, but I think the difference is that you are looking at what does my Father want from me, opposed to what does the industry want from me. And that's a huge thing.
Absolutely. I think it's also like, I was a baby when I started doing music, and I've been through a lot since I've like on this journey. And I think God has me in a space of now, just like I said, like living authentically and honestly. And it's like, well, where am I today? And how can I stop masking? How can I just be and live in the present moment and be grateful for what God is doing in my life now? We can tend to like look for so many expectations and be like, oh my God, like this is what's supposed to happen. And I think, like I said, God is just like, Angie, just be grateful. And my best friend reminds me, she's like, it's gratitude. And when you come through, I've come through depression and suicide, and I'm on the other side of that now. And it's like, God, since then, I don't want to go back. So what is the remedy, and how can I be a doctor that says, man, I've healed from the same sickness, and give that healing to people? And that's just kind of where I am now. I'm like, God, I just want people to heal. And if I've been through a pain that they can resonate with, then let me share what helped me, and the hopes that they heal too.
Angie, thank you so much for your vulnerability and transparency in this conversation. I love that. And I love whatever you're going to be doing in the future, because I think it's going to come from a real place and be able to really, really help people. So I wish you all the best with everything that you're doing right now. Thank you so much.